Is Captain America Brave New World an Incredible Hulk sequel in disguise? Of course by now we know that Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, is going to turn into the Red Hulk in this movie, but Sabra and the Leader are also Hulk villains that appear in this movie, the latter of which was teased all the way back in 2008 with the Incredible Hulk movie. And although fans have wanted to see Hulk face off against Ross and the Leader ever since, instead we're getting this in the new Captain America movie. But the thing is, these characters may not have been originally intended to be the villains of this movie. The Serpent Society was originally supposed to play a larger role in the final film, since we know that WWE superstar Seth Rollins and Alita Battle Angel star Rosa Salazar were meant to play members of the group, but were ultimately cut from the final film. Though strangely, Giancarlo Esposito was not originally part of the film, despite playing the leader of the Serpent Society. What's also interesting is that if you remember way back when Captain America Civil War was announced, the film was originally titled Captain America The Serpent Society as a way to hide what the actual film was about from fans. We don't know why Seth and Rosa were cut from the film, but pictures were leaked of them on set, as well as pictures of what appears to be President Ross's funeral. And we know based on merchandise that they were supposed to have a bigger role in the film, and the leader was going to have a drastically different design. What we do know is that many of the changes were the result of bad test screenings and the writer's strike. So as a result of those bad test screenings, they added more action scenes and added Giancarlo Esposito to the cast. Plus some roles were tweaked and others were cut entirely. We know they wanted this movie to be more of a grounded political thriller, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Captain America 2. And although of course those elements are still in the final film, the inclusion of characters like Red Hulk do kind of go against that grounded tone. But back to the cut scene of Ross's funeral. I don't think he was meant to die at the end of the movie, but perhaps the assassination attempt would actually be successful, or there'd be another assassination later on in the movie, because I don't think they ever intended for Red Hulk to be in the film at all. I mean, when the script was written, Ross was meant to be played by William Hurt, like he was in all the previous MCU movies, but once he died in 2022, they had to find a replacement. And once they managed to snag an actor as big as Harrison Ford, they probably wanted to include him in even more scenes to make use of his star power. Plus, if he was in less scenes in the original cut of the film, the people at the test screenings probably just demanded more Harrison Ford. But the Serpent Society and the Leader were probably going to be the actual villains of the movie, but maybe during test screenings they determined that they weren't interesting enough villains for this movie, which would also explain the casting of Giancarlo Esposito for even more star power. It's also pretty likely that Marvel was afraid this movie wouldn't do as well as the previous Captain America movie, because it doesn't have a tagline as big as Captain America versus Iron Man. And since we no longer had Chris Evans in the role, they probably wanted to get even more well-known actors. But since Ross is already in the movie, the only matchup they could probably think of that would even come close to Cap vs. Iron Man is Cap versus the Hulk. Plus, that would also explain the heavy marketing push for Cap versus Red Hulk, despite him only appearing in one action scene. And it's very likely that one action scene was one of the scenes they added in reshoots. But who's to say if the original cut of the film would have been better? Although I would have preferred a more grounded film. Plus for these characters to actually fight the Hulk rather than Captain America. But we know Marvel will never make a solo Hulk movie again. I just wish Marvel had more faith for their new characters to carry their own solo films.